my film's about two women living alone in a home where the grandfather just passed away. And the next day, a young soldier arrives at their home and they let him in to stay the night. And soon they start regretting having let that young man in. As a filmmaker, I tend to look backwards. It's a little bit of my aversion towards technology. Like, I see a lot of films with modern technology that don't get old that good. Like a film from 10 years ago, you directly notice, oh, the mobile phones look weird, the laptops are too thick. So I always tend to avoid technology in my films. And in this case, it was not only that, but we started to research a lot. I knew I wanted to go a little bit back further. And in this research, we realized that after the Second World War in Germany, there was an uprising in superstition. There started to be witch trials again, and people started to believe in the devil, which was really weird after, you know, so much technology has been. But it is a thing. We read a couple of books on it, and we thought, okay, that is the perfect setting for this film, where a devil might be coming to visit. The film was filmed in a film school context, and we do a short film every 6 months. So I know I had to find a new idea for my next short film, and I love horror. I've always wanted to do horror, and I hadn't done it until then. So I knew I wanted to do horror. Folk horror is the thing that really that I'm really passionate about. So I knew it had to be folk horror, and I wanted to give it a little bit something personal. And my love for horror started with dark fairy tales that my grandmother told me when I was little, like the original Grimm tales, where the Grimm fairy tales where the kids, where the princesses don't happy ever after in the end. And I want to give a little bit of that. So it is like a little dark fairy tale in the beginning, which then starts getting more and more horror elements towards the end. We actually built it. We at the beginning, when we had the script, our art directors went out and started looking for a place where we could film. We looked at museums and historic houses, but we knew, okay, historic houses are too clean, and you cannot really live in there. It's not spaces that looked lived in, and I wanted it to look a little bit gritty. We wanted to be a little bit dirty. So we pretty quickly came to the conclusion we had to build that set. My uni has a soundstage where we are able to build sets. So my two art directors designed that space and built it in 3 weeks, almost, like a little bit more. In 3 weeks they built it. They didn't sleep at all during that time. They got help from colleagues, but mostly it was really hard work. But I think it paid off, because we couldn't have found a space like that in the real world. And I'm really happy that we did it, and that they put that much work into it. All the actors are from they have all studied, like Lucia Opperman, who plays Christa. I knew her because I saw her when she graduated, and she was in the same class as a brother from my best friend. I had seen her, and while writing the script, I was only thinking of her. I knew I wanted her to play this role. And I was really scared of sending it to her because you know, like, why you don't send it to her? She can't say no. But once she got it, once she has it, she has the ability to say no. And if she had said no, I would have really been screwed.
Yeah.
But I sent it to her, and she loved it. She wanted to do it, and that was amazing. She's a really great actress, I think. She's a lovely person to work with, and I cannot wait to be able to work with her again. And the other two, like Felix Meyer, who plays the young man who comes, the soldier, he also wanted to do something like that. He'd never played genre, and he liked that he could play different faces for this young man. And we had a little trouble finding an old woman, an old actress who would play this role, because genre is something difficult to do in Germany. But we had an interview with Doris Plennert, who plays grandma. She was so full of energy. I think she had more energy than all the young actors put together. And she wanted to do it, and she was so passionate about it that we knew, okay, she has to do it. And then I like to do little like character interviews when I interview with my actors for the first time. And she got the role so directly that a little bit suspicious, but also very lovely, but hard at the same time. And she got it directly when we did that character interview. And I know, okay, she has to be the grandmother. Challenges, yes. We filmed in 3 days, and everything went pretty smoothly the first 2 days, and then in the third one, we had to film the half of the film. Like the first half of the film, we had 2 days, and then the second half of the film, which is a long scene at a dinner table with a long conversation, we only had 1 day to film it. So we spent almost all day in that conversation, and then near the end, we only had 1 hour left. We had to film the last 2 shots, which are pretty complicated. And one of them, we knew, okay, we have to get it in 1 take, because we are not able to reset everything in time to do the ending. And I know I was in the middle of that set, of that studio set, and everyone was talking to me, like 5 people asking, like, is this, do you want it like this? Can you look like this looks? And I know I went outside, I took a deep breath, came in, and we did it in 1 take, really happy with the result. And then we were able to manage to do the last shot with no time left. And with the production looking, like the uni supervisors looking at us like, it's time to wrap up. But we did it in time. So that was pretty stressful, but I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it's about a rescue robot in outer space who dreams of finding someone to rescue. And in his search for survivors, he makes a dark discovery and has to make a pretty difficult choice.
It's a live-action film, so it's made completely with... the whole idea from the start was actually 6 years ago, I had an idea of making a space adventure, but completely without CGI. So everything is handcrafted, made for real. Like the space images is made in a water tank. The main character is played by a robot. He's built for real. Yeah, all the sets and space capsules, miniatures, like everything is completely made by hand. That's why it took so long to make it. I had this idea. I thought we would take 1 year. 3 years into the process, I realized this was so much harder than I thought, because everything, it's not stop motion. Every element is filmed for real. So when we have a space capsule, in a miniature space capsule, we filmed it in a dark room. We light it, and we had like fishing wires to hold it up, and so it could spin. And like everything is made completely without any kind of animation. So the robot is built so we can have a suit. So there's an actor standing besides the robot, and then when he has this suit and a cap, which is like a normal cap with sensors, he can move around and move his arms and watch around, and the robot will do exactly the same in real time. from the beginning, it was a fascination from... I've grown up with The Lord of the Rings, and I loved it deeply. And still today, when I watch it, I can see that the way they made it with miniatures, those VFX still holds up today really, really good. Like you said, something like with the technology, things it gets older, and so is with CGI, I think. And I also loved Pixar films. So I always had like a dream of, can you make a Pixar film in the Lord of the Rings style, but take it further? So if Lord of the Rings used CGI, I will not at all. Yeah, and that was the idea. and it worked. It just took a little bit more time than I expected.
Yeah, I think it was a mixture of a lot of different things, but like the first part that we had to get right was how to make the space look good, like, because we weren't going to film it in a water tank, but we didn't want it to look like liquids. So it took almost a year for Simon to find a way to film it that looked like NASA images. So that was like the first part. And when he showed me the first pictures of that, and I saw that, okay, making a space movie without 3D effects, the hardest part is probably how do you make space? And when he showed me the first pictures that looked really good, I was like, okay, if we've done this, the hardest part, then we can just do the rest, I think. But then you always have challenges because we didn't have a script in the beginning, because we were actually going to do it as a music video. That was like the first plan, but then it developed into a short film. So like 1 or 2 years into the project, we realized when we were searching for funding that we needed to have a script. So we started to develop the script, and I wrote it. But it took like a few years to write a draft that felt like good, because it's easy, I think, to try to make something for like the visual part, but we also wanted to tell a story that was good, because like as Simon said, we really like Pixar, and Pixar shorts and features are always really heartfelt and have a good story. So we felt it was important for us to try to do that, like a Pixar short for adults, but live action. That was like the idea. But it's also like, it's kind of ambitious for a first short film. And I mean, we didn't have, for the first 4 years, we didn't have the money. So Simon had to learn how to build like the spaceships, and we took in our nerdy friend to build a robot, and that took like 1 or 2 years because it was so hard. Like so it's like we had to learn a lot of stuff that didn't have really to do with directing or producing, but we had to like build stuff. And so it was a combination of just the method of doing everything practical, and also taking our time with the script to really find something that we felt was good enough, and felt like the story should feel true in the end. Like you don't want to watch the movie and say, yeah, it was okay. I mean, the effects were nice, but the story was boring. You know, you want people to feel like, yeah, that was a really good film, and then the visual part will be like a bonus. You know.
Yeah.
We had everything in place except the music. That was like the last part that we didn't have, and we worked with different composers, but never really felt that it was right for the film. They were really good composers, and they had made really good scores, but it just didn't fit the movie. And then when we got the first draft for the music that we actually used, I just, like when I saw the film for the first time with the music, I started crying in the end, because I felt so relieved that it was like, I knew that, because I saw the film with the music first, because I didn't want to show Simon. It wasn't like in the middle of the night, because the composer lives in LA. So I watched it just to be prepared what Simon would have for a reaction the next day when I came into the office, because like as a producer, I have to like, okay, Simon, you have to be prepared. Like it's probably not what you want it to be, you know? So, but I watched it and I started crying, and I was like, finally the movie's done. Like 6 years, and now it's like just relief, you know? And also I got, how do you say, touched by the music. It was actually good. So that was the last part that, and when we had that, it was like, okay, this movie is 95% done. The last 5% will take 3 more years, and it's not worth that. So it's like, this is done.
So it feels really weird to be at the hard line. Yeah. Like this is actually the first time we're going to show it to people we don't know. So it's really nervous. We never thought it would be 6 years work because like every year we thought that, okay, 1 year more, then we're done, 1 year more. And to have that disappointment every year when you realize that, okay, this is not done yet, it needs 1 more year, it breaks you down like mentally, definitely. So right now to actually show it, yes, it's nervous, but it's also a huge relief. So I feel so happy now to let this go. It's like Frodo throwing the ring in the mountain, like it's done.
Yeah, like I recently graduated in February, so I'm currently starting to develop several ideas, several exposés, and several script ideas, and hope to be able to make them, at least some of them. A couple of them are horror genre ideas. Some of them are not. As I said, horror is a little bit difficult in Germany, but since I'm also Spanish, I'm hopeful that if they don't work here, I'll be able to make them in Spain.
We're going to just relax a bit now and enjoy some festivals, and but we're also eager to develop new things. We're going to stay with this. I'm going to continue doing some genre films. I fell in love with it, and like I'm eager to see what I've learned from this 6 years, to put those skills into new practice.
I told Simon that the next movie we make needs to be like a dialogue scene in a room with two actors. But after like we were done, I felt like we're probably going to stick with this kind of filmmaking, even though like let's hope the next short film only takes 3 years instead of 6.